There's a silence that follows strength, the kind no one sees coming. You were once the woman everyone looked up to, the one who never flinched, never faltered, never begged for approval. You stood alone, and in doing so, you stood apart. But now, something feels different. You've achieved so much. You've walked your path with pride. Yet lately, that same path feels unfamiliar, like the version of you that once thrived in solitude is quietly asking, "What's next?" This isn't a breakdown. It's a breakthrough. Because real power doesn't come from being unshaken. It comes from facing the shift. From understanding that even the strongest women can feel lost when they've outgrown the spaces that once defined them. If this speaks to you, you're not alone. You're evolving. And this space, Sigma Sisterhood, was made for women like you. Women who walk boldly, fall quietly, and rise without a sound. Subscribe to the Sigma Sisterhood channel and rediscover your fire. This is your next chapter, and it's going to be your most powerful one yet. 1. The magnetic power of the Sigma female. There's something about her that turns heads without trying. She doesn't chase approval, yet somehow earns deep respect wherever she goes. This isn't charm in the traditional sense, it's presence. The Sigma female moves differently. She doesn't just walk into a room, she shifts the energy in it. People may not be able to explain it, but they feel it. That's the magnetic power of a woman who knows who she is. Sigma women aren't loud. They don't crave the spotlight. In fact, they'd rather stay behind the scenes, observing, analyzing, mastering. But in a world obsessed with noise and validation, their silence speaks volumes. Their independence is not a mask. It's a lifestyle, forged through hard-won self-awareness. They've walked alone, faced storms without backup, and learned to rely on their own intuition. That self-reliance, it glows, and people can't look away. What truly makes a Sigma female powerful isn't just her ability to stand alone, it's that she never stands still. While others are busy trying to fit into boxes, she's busy breaking the mold. She doesn't follow trends, she creates standards. Her power lies not in dominance, but in detachment. Not in shouting, but in selective silence. Not in rebellion for attention, but in choosing her own direction regardless of who notices. And here's the twist. Her magnetism isn't always a blessing. Being admired can feel isolating. When people see you as the strong one, they stop checking in. They assume you're fine even when you're silently falling apart. The Sigma female knows this well. She's felt the weight of expectations press down harder with every compliment. She's realized that admiration can sometimes feel like a cage with golden bars. Still, she wouldn't trade her essence for approval. Her authenticity is non-negotiable. She'll be misunderstood before she ever waters herself down. The world might not always get her, but the right people, the ones who operate on her wavelength, do. And that's more than enough. So, to every Sigma woman out there, your power is real. Your silence is strength. Your path may be solitary, but it's also sacred. Never forget, you don't need a crowd to validate your light. You were built to glow on your own terms. 2. When strength becomes a silent burden. The world applauds your strength, but they don't see the weight it carries. As a Sigma female, you've likely been told how inspiring your independence is, how admirable your resilience seems. People romanticize the way you stand tall, make bold decisions, and never fold under pressure. But here's what they don't realize. Strength can be a heavy crown. And sometimes it doesn't feel empowering. It feels exhausting. You've been the rock for others, the voice of reason, the one who always holds it together. And because you rarely ask for help, people assume you never need it. But that couldn't be further from the truth. The problem is, when you wear strength so well, no one thinks to ask if you're okay. You've built such a solid exterior that even your most personal struggles become invisible to the world. Over time, this silent expectation becomes suffocating. You begin to feel like you're living up to a role, rather than living your truth. You tell yourself that you don't need support, that you're fine on your own. But deep down, you long for someone to look past the armor and see the human within. Not the unshakable Sigma, not the force of nature, just you. The truth is, being strong doesn't mean you never feel broken. It means you've mastered the art of rebuilding yourself, sometimes in silence, sometimes through tears no one ever sees. It means you've kept walking even when your legs felt weak and your heart was tired. And while that is incredibly powerful, it's not always sustainable. What if strength also meant knowing when to pause, to soften, to admit that even the strongest women need rest, comfort, and love? Vulnerability is not the enemy of strength. It's part of it. You don't have to carry the world alone to prove your worth. You already are enough, even when you're still healing, still learning, still figuring things out. Let this be your permission. You can be a Sigma and still lean on others. You can be powerful and still cry. You can lead and still ask for support. True strength isn't about being untouchable. It's about being whole. 3. The illusion of love. Seeking connection in all the wrong places. As a Sigma female, you've likely mastered the art of walking alone. You've built a life rooted in independence where validation comes from within, not from others. But here's the twist that catches even the strongest off guard. Despite your ability to thrive alone, there comes a moment when you crave something deeper. Love. Real connection. Not because you're weak, but because you're human. You've probably experienced it, the subtle pull to find someone who understands you beyond your strength. Yet often, the love you reach for feel hollow. Why? Because being a Sigma means you attract attention, admiration, and even obsession, but rarely understanding. People are drawn to your aura, your mystery, your self-sufficiency, but they don't always see your heart. So you begin to seek love in places that don't truly nourish you, in people who are enamored with the idea of you, but not committed to understanding the depth of you. You give pieces of yourself hoping they'll see the whole, and when they don't, it reinforces a dangerous belief that maybe no one ever will. But here's the truth. It's not about finding the right person first. It's about recognizing the love you've been trying to find is already within you. When you base your worth on someone else's attention, you lose the most sacred connection, the one with yourself. Real love doesn't demand that you shrink or explain who you are. It doesn't punish your independence or try to soften your edge. It sees you as you are, strong, complicated, intuitive, and loves you because of that, not in spite of it. But you'll never find that kind of connection by settling for half-hearted attention or surface-level romance. The love you're looking for won't come from chasing. It'll come from becoming. From being so deeply rooted in your own identity that you naturally draw those who are aligned with your frequency. Stop seeking mirrors. Start becoming the light. 4. The dream of independence. When freedom starts to feel like a cage. Independence, your prized possession. The thing you fought for, sacrificed for, built your entire identity around. As a Sigma woman, your independence has been your shield and sword. You don't need permission, approval, or company to walk your path. You create, lead, and evolve on your own terms. But what happens when the freedom you craved starts to feel like confinement? At first, it was exhilarating. Making decisions without compromise. Carving a lifestyle that reflects you and no one else. You ditched the script and wrote your own rules. But over time, the silence you once cherished starts echoing louder. The solitude becomes a little too quiet. The self-sufficiency begins to blur into disconnection. You start to realize something unsettling. You've become so good at standing alone, you've forgotten what it feels like to be supported. You don't reach out, not because no one cares, but because you've trained yourself not to need anyone. And now, even when people try to show up for you, you don't know how to let them in. The dream of freedom can become a trap when you start to equate connection with weakness. But here's the truth. True freedom is not the absence of others. It's the ability to choose who you invite in without losing yourself. It's being open to love, support, and shared experiences without giving up your autonomy. Your independence is sacred, but it should never be isolating. You can be fiercely self-reliant and still crave community. You can walk alone and still long for a hand to hold now and then. There's no shame in that. In fact, there's deep wisdom in knowing when to be strong and when to surrender. Freedom isn't just doing life on your own terms. It's knowing you don't have to carry every burden alone. Let go of the belief that needing others is weakness. Let connection be part of your power, not a threat to it. 5. Isolation, a choice, or a consequence. In the early stages of your Sigma awakening, isolation felt like a sanctuary. You intentionally stepped away from the chaos, the noise, the distractions. While others clung to crowds, you sought solace in silence. You told yourself this was empowerment, choosing peace over people, clarity over confusion, and it was. But now, you're beginning to wonder, was it truly a choice? Or has it quietly become a consequence? The line between solitude and loneliness is razor thin. At first, being alone was empowering. No drama, no obligations, no energy vampires draining your soul. But slowly, invisibly, something shifted. You built emotional walls so high that even genuine connection can't find a way in. You told yourself you were protecting your peace, but in the process, you may have locked yourself out of love. You stopped answering calls. You ghosted invitations. You convinced yourself that no one understood you, and maybe over time that became true. Not because they stopped trying, but because you stopped letting them. Your armor, once a shield, has become a prison. Here's the hard truth. Isolation can feel like strength, but sometimes it's just fear in disguise. Fear of being let down. Fear of being seen. Fear of being known so intimately that someone might actually touch the parts you've kept buried. But healing doesn't happen in hiding. And freedom doesn't flourish in walls, it blooms in bridges. This doesn't mean opening the floodgates to everyone. You're still allowed to be selective, protective, and slow to trust. But it does mean recognizing when solitude has stopped serving you. It means being brave enough to say, maybe I do want someone to understand me. Maybe connection isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Start with one conversation, one vulnerability, one moment of truth. Let the world see a glimpse of what's behind the mask. You'll be surprised who leans in when you finally stop pushing everyone away. 6. The silent pressure. When strength becomes performance. Being the Sigma female, the admired one, the strong one, comes with a silent burden no one talks about. The unspoken expectation that you must always be unshakable. You walk into rooms and command respect. You solve problems with ease. You never complain, never crumble, never ask for help. And while the world applauds this version of you, they don't see what it costs. Behind the calm exterior and composed smile, you're often exhausted, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Strength becomes a performance, not a reality. You've internalized the idea that any sign of struggle would shatter your image. That if you take off the cape, even for a second, you'll disappoint everyone, including yourself. So you keep performing, keep enduring, keep pretending everything is fine, even when your soul is aching for rest. But here's a truth that will set you free. Being strong doesn't mean being invulnerable. It means being human. And part of being human is breaking down sometimes. It's crying in the dark when no one's watching. It's needing to be held, even if you're used to doing the holding. The danger in always being the strong one is that people forget you need support too. And if you don't give yourself permission to need, you'll eventually burn out in silence. Being a Sigma doesn't mean carrying everything alone. It means knowing when to pause, when to breathe, when to let someone else hold space for you. Drop the mask. Let go of the image. You don't owe anyone an illusion of perfection. The real you, raw, honest, occasionally messy, is more powerful than any version you pretend to be. There is profound courage in vulnerability. There is healing in saying, today I don't have it all together, and that's okay. Because strength is not just about enduring. It's about feeling deeply, healing openly, and choosing to rise again, not because the world expects you to, but because your soul needs you to. 7. The path that lost its way, when independence feels directionless. You've always been proud of your independence. It's the crown you wear in a world that constantly tries to tame and label you. The Sigma female doesn't follow trends, doesn't bow to societal timelines, and certainly doesn't need permission to take the road less traveled. That path once felt exhilarating. It was wild, liberating, unpredictable, and yours. But lately, that same path feels foggy, and you're beginning to wonder if you've drifted off course. It's not that you regret the choices you made. You followed your instincts, carved your lane, and broke free from expectations. But the thing about forging your own way is, it's easy to get so far ahead that you forget to stop and check the map. You realize you've been moving forward but without feeling like you're going anywhere meaningful. You've detached so much from what doesn't serve you that now, nothing feels like it connects. Maybe you've outgrown your goals. Maybe your vision no longer excites you. Maybe all the solitude you once craved now feels more like a void than a haven. This is the quiet crisis Sigma women rarely speak about. The moment when independence stops feeling like freedom and starts feeling like disorientation. But let this be your reminder. It's okay to pause. It's okay to realign. You don't have to throw everything away. You simply need to ask, what am I walking toward? And does it still matter to me? Sometimes strength means stopping long enough to admit that even the most confident wanderers can lose their sense of direction. You haven't failed. You've evolved. And evolution requires reevaluation. There's no shame in changing course. There's wisdom in realizing that your path is yours to rewrite at any moment. You can pivot. You can expand. You can build a new future, one that still honors your independence but also fills your soul with purpose. 8. Shifting identity. Have you become a stranger to yourself? When you first stepped into your Sigma power, it felt like stepping into the most authentic version of yourself. You were done playing roles, done shrinking to fit, done apologizing for your fire. You owned your strength, your solitude, your sovereignty. But now, something feels off. Not because you've lost yourself, but because the idea of yourself has become a cage. Who are you, without the title, without the armor, without the constant need to be the strong one? Over time, identity can become a performance. You start to mistake the mask for the mirror. You've worn the Sigma badge for so long that it feels risky to admit you've changed, or worse, that you want to. But here's a powerful truth. Evolving doesn't make you fake. It makes you real. You are not just one version of yourself. You are layers, seasons, storms, and stillness. The woman you were 5 years ago built the one you are today. But she doesn't have to dictate who you must become tomorrow. Maybe you've suppressed parts of yourself in order to fit the Sigma mold. Maybe you've sacrificed softness for survival, or connection for control. Maybe you're so used to being independent that you've forgotten what it feels like to be emotionally present. This is your permission to explore beyond the label. You are allowed to grow beyond your own expectations. You are allowed to reclaim the parts of yourself that you tucked away because they didn't align with the image of strength. Your worth isn't in your title. It's in your truth. Rediscovery is not regression, it's expansion. Who you are now might be wiser, softer, more curious, more open. That's not weakness, that's evolution. You haven't lost yourself. You've outgrown the box you once needed to survive. So, take a deep breath. Look inward. And ask yourself, not who you were, or who the world expects you to be, but who you want to become now. That woman, she's already rising. So here you are, standing at the intersection between who you were and who you're becoming. You were the Sigma female everyone admired. You were the woman who walked her own path, defied expectations, and carved strength out of solitude. And maybe now, for the first time in a long while, you feel lost. But feeling lost doesn't mean you're broken. It means you've outgrown the map that once guided you. You see, power isn't always loud. Sometimes it whispers. It calls you inward when the world demands you stay outward. It invites you to question even your strongest beliefs, not because they were wrong, but because you've evolved beyond them. That's what growth feels like. It's messy, it's confusing, it's sacred. And for the Sigma female, that evolution is both a challenge and a rebirth. You've mastered the art of being alone, but now it's time to master the art of belonging to yourself. Not just the independent, unbothered version of you, but the whole you. The woman who can be strong and still need support. The one who can lead and still crave connection. The one who no longer has to wear solitude like a shield, but instead chooses it with clarity, not fear. This isn't about shedding your Sigma identity. It's about expanding it. It's about realizing that being admired is not the same as being seen. That power without presence can become a prison. That freedom must be paired with feeling, or it loses its magic. So if you feel lost right now, good. That means you're on the edge of a breakthrough. You don't need to go back. You just need to go deeper. Strip away the image. Tune out the noise. Sit with yourself. Not as the woman who must have it all figured out, but as the one who's brave enough to say, I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I'm still here. Because the Sigma female doesn't fade. She transforms. Thank you for walking this journey with me. And if this message spoke to a part of your soul you haven't heard in a while, don't forget to subscribe to the Sigma Sisterhood channel, where your strength, your softness, and your becoming are all welcome.